Breaking news this afternoon, Casey Anthony found by this jury in Orlando, a jury that's been sequestered since May. They deliberated for just a little over 11 hours. They found her not guilty of first-degree murder, not guilty of aggravated child abuse, not guilty of aggravated manslaughter. They did find her guilty of providing false information to a law enforcement officer. Tremendous verdict here coming down this afternoon in Orlando. We have a lot going on here coming up this next hour. I have a number of guests with me, including Holly Hughes, sitting by my side, former prosecutor, criminal defense attorney, a number of folks, as we're going to walk you through what happens next. What happens next to Casey Anthony? We look at these pictures here of a massive crowd outside of this Orlando courthouse as reaction is beginning to pour in. We heard from members of the defense team just a short time ago saying there are no winners here, calling that this has been disgusted by media assassination with regard to Casey Anthony and how she's been portrayed on television, in the paper over the course of the last couple of weeks and even years here. I want to talk about the forensics here. Richard Herman, stand by. I want to go to Steve Kardian. He's a former police detective. And Steve, I mean, talk to me about this jury. They really got a crash course in forensics, in DNA. You know, the hair, the pieces of hair that were found in the trunk, the shockingly high levels of chloroform in the trunk, in the carpet, on the wheel well. I mean, this was a 101 in forensics for these men and women.
Yeah, and you know what? I think it was a bit overwhelming for the jury, Brooke, and certainly we're all surprised that in such a short period of time they rendered a decision, and certainly we were all thinking that it was going to be guilty on some count. But the forensics, some of the forensics that were introduced, such as the cadaver dogs hitting on the scent of death, this is the first time. It's a test case. And, you know, it's got to be convincing. Of course, the case was built circumstantially. So it was a hard case to sell. And did Mr. Baez, did he believe Casey's lies, or was this just orchestrated? But it's a sad day for the criminal justice system, I believe.
Do you think it's possible that this jury, given all the bits and pieces of the forensics, do you think it would easily be overwhelming for them?
Yes, it was overwhelming, and I think, and it's going to be interesting to see what the jurors say once they do speak.
If at all.
In the closing, if at all. But in the closing arguments, the defense hammered in reasonable doubt, reasonable doubt, reasonable doubt.
Yeah.
And I think that it got into the heads of the jurors, and they rendered their decision. In law enforcement, we often look at the courtroom sometimes as a stage. Whoever puts on the best show is likely going to be the winner. And I think that happened in this case.
Steve Kardian, I thank you so much. Stand by for me. We've got to get a quick break in. I do want to remind you we are watching and waiting for the state to speak. We've